So today we're going to cover basically the 4 levels of offering: outer, inner, secret, and word or ultimate. And we're going to talk a little bit about that involved with both practicing Tantra and deities, yogas, and such like that. So first, of course, what's your motive? Why did you attend? Out of curiosity, or did you actually wish to become a little more enlightened? But even within that, there's something that's a sort of a good example. Let's say, you were sick, and then one of your family members who you care for and love a great deal was sick, okay? And you have to go to the drugstore to get some medicine. And even if actually it was just somebody in your family was sick, it doesn't really matter. But in either case, and one thing that's important, though, is that you love that person. And so, whether you drive your car, you walk, or you ride a bicycle, though that whole trip is in the context of you're doing it for someone more than yourself. And there's a different feeling. In fact, if you have I wouldn't say concern and worry, that's not really the type of karma you want to accumulate, but just love, and I wish my partner to be free of, or my friend to be free of suffering, the cause of suffering, and so I ride my bicycle or drive my car. That's sort of how we should practice do our Dharma practice, is that although we're attending a teaching, in our mind we're like going to the drugstore of enlightenment. Not only will we get the medicine for enlightenment that we might need, but also we're going to get the medicine for another person. So it's important to recognize how your mind works and to accumulate the karma. So just saying the words, for the benefit of all sentient beings, not so beneficial. It's better that you actually, really accumulate the karma, like really have a feeling, okay? Because feelings are important and such. And sometimes when we talk about karma, we get very mechanical, and it's not. Your feelings are karma. Your good intentions are karma. Your emotions are karma. So all of that. So really, like having a full spectrum of feelings and emotions and intentions is, beautiful karma. It's just what you want. So when you think of, for example, someone you care for, and then you go to the drugstore, and there's a feeling of love that, I'd like to benefit them, care for them. That's how you should think of when you're attending the teachings. And that's with all teachers. So that's first. Then we'll take refuge. So of course, I'm doing this for more than myself. And what's actually cute, is that sometimes relationships with other people in our lives are rather complicated, aren't they? But if you have a pet dog or a cat and they just love you no end, unconditional love from them, they're a really good object to say, I'm doing this for the benefit of my dog or cat, because it's a really, like you would say, pure feeling. And once you have familiarity with very pure feelings, you can expand it to people that are more complicated. So it is a sense of exercise. We exercise ourselves. So with that, then I'll just do the prayer in English, and that's just refuge is all we need. So I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, from now until enlightenment. I'll work for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all beings be happy. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, from now until enlightenment. I'll work for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all beings be happy. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, from now until enlightenment. I'll work for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all beings be happy. Okay, so I brought special equipment, a balloon, which I'll explain to you a little bit about how to do the hand mudras. Now, please appreciate that there are many different traditions, and each Lama has a different way of wanting to present things. There's sort of a joke that says, with every teacher, there's a different presentation of the Dharma. So if I say something that's not quite what you've heard from another teacher, that's perfectly acceptable. That's very common. Even within, for example, if we were Gelupa, Gaden Shartse has different things from Gaden Chotse or from Sarah or from Dreyabung. They all have their own sort of take on things, which tends to be what we do as humans. And in the Kargyupa lineage, for example, I think there's like 12 or 15 subsets of Karma Kargyu, or not Kargyu, because then there's Karma Kargyu, Drikam Kargyu, lots of different ones. So again, it's just know that there's lots of variations. There's no, this is the gospel truth about how you do this. The more important thing is your feelings. And I'm sorry, I got to slow down a little bit for my translator. I'm a translator myself, so I have a great deal of compassion for translators, because when you think about it, like I just have to ramble on in English. That person has a double job. They have to take it in and then turn it into another language. And then you guys, you just have to listen. So both of us only have like a half job, whereas a translator has 100% or even a 200% job. So great compassion to translators. Anyway, so with that then, okay, first off, with the offerings, of course, there's the standard 8 offerings, which we could do on our altar. We don't need to be a deity about that or anything. And so that is water for the mouth, water for the flowers, incense, light, perfume, food, and music. Okay, so those are the standard ones. But why would you do them? And so really, I'm going to go through stages. So we're going to start with just basic, and then we're going to go all up to high tantra. So there will be an interesting presentation, should cover all the different things that you'd like to know. Now, so the offerings are, if you invited somebody special to your house, what would you do? Well, if they showed up at the door, you'd say, well, welcome. And if they've come from a long way off, you'd say, well, would you like to use the bathroom? Okay. And then when they've done that, then you come back and make them comfortable and such. So that's what the 8 offerings are. We've invited the Buddha or a particular deity or our guru to our altar. So water for the mouth, water for the feet is, I offer you the bathroom. Okay. Then flowers, okay, ambience. This is a very nice room. It's got nice flowers in it. Incense, and I'll do the mudras later, so you can do that. But to say incense, ambience, make the place nice. Argam, bhajam, buspe, dube, aloke, light, ambience. So you make it a nicely lit room. It's got nice flowers. It's got nice incense. They've just gone to the bathroom. Those are the first offerings. Then perfume. Now, that's again, I'll talk about how the offerings are, but it's normally considered something you spray on one's chest. Okay, and so maybe in the bathroom, I guess you could say you have a little thing of spray that you could put on yourself, refreshing yourself. Then there's light. Oh no, we did light. Food. Okay, so you offer food, whether it's a meal or some whatever, teas, coffees, a latte, a cappuccino. I mean, all that's included in food. And then, as they're of course eating that, then there's soft music played in the background. Those are the 8 offerings. So water for the mouth, water for the feet, perfume, flowers, incense, light, perfume, food, and music. Okay, and that's what you're doing. Lama Jhampa made a comment. Lama Jhampa Rinpoche once said, when you pour the offerings, you say a little Om Ahom, which just blesses them. Just make sure that it's going to go to the right object. So when you do it, and traditionally you'd never put an empty bowl on the altar. So if you have like 8 bowls in your hands, you put a little water in one bowl, and you pour that from some of that water into the bowl underneath. You put it down. Offerings for the Buddhas go from the left to the right. If you're doing a tantric practice for I wish you were the deity, offerings go from the right to the left. And again, remember that if this is something different from what you've heard, there's lots of different presentations, different commentaries, okay? But that's the general thing. Left to right for the Buddha or for the deity, right to left for you. Okay, now, so then you take your bowl, you put a little water, you put it down, and so each of the bowls, if there's 8 or 7, it can be either that. If it's 7, then your vajra and your bell are considered the music. But if there's 8, then you fill them up, and you fill them up just sort of to the right level. It's sort of polite and such. I have seen some people, again, they take a bowl and they turn it, like before they do it, they put it upside down and then they put incense in it. And I don't know, I mean, that's sort of for me, again, you can have lots of commentaries. I just don't see the point of that. I mean, you don't have to perfume your plates when you're going to offer somebody food, I mean, just make sure they're clean. Okay, but again, there's different people. So if you'd like to do that, that's fine. But then you do put a little bit of water in them and you set them up, and then you fill them just the right level. And normally you make like the thickness of a grain of rice or a grain of wheat between each bowl, so they're all nicely positioned. Okay, so that's just the 8 standard offerings. Now, that's on your altar. That would be normal. Granted, if you have a very small altar or something, you can just put one bowl and do that. It is considered good to do some offering on your altar. And the Tibetans, I'm not sure in India they have the same commentary, but the Tibetans said, water is very special because it's normally clean, it's clear, you have no attachment to it, and such, and so therefore it's a good object to offer. So in regards to making the offerings on the altar, that's fine. Of course, you have to buy water, don't you? And then there's different grades of water that you buy. So anyway, life has changed, hasn't it? But whatever the case, so it is water because it's clear, it's clean, it's plentifully available. There's no attachment to it, and so that's why you offer that. Okay. Now, of course, you can put, when you put flowers, you can put a flower in the bowl, which should be flour. The incense, you can have it that with you put rice and you put a couple sticks of incense. Again, those are all little details. I'm sure you can find that on YouTube or Google. Usually Lama Google has lots of commentaries about things. So those are minor details. So I'm not going to go into more of it than just that. Now, when we do offerings, and now we're moving into the practice of Tantra. So you do turn yourself into the deity when you're going to make the offerings because you need to bless them. Okay, so if you were, let's say if you have the lower class tantras, you might not be the deity, but you're invoking the deity, so therefore you just do it politely. But if you are a practitioner and you do have an initiation, you turn yourself into the deity and then you place the offerings. Okay, so that's just the first part. But if you do invoking in front of you, you still do what's called the lotus roll. Okay, or if you're doing offerings to yourself as deity, it's the lotus roll. Now this is where I have the balloon. So outer offerings, that is bliss for the mouth, bliss for the body, the feet, bliss for the eyes, flowers, bliss for the nose, incense, bliss for the eyes, light, bliss for the chest, the body, perfume, bliss for the mouth, food, and then bliss for the ears, nose. So when you make the offering, you feel that they get great bliss. Now, why would you do that? Because you're making yourself familiar with bliss. It's something that's important, if you've ever studied karma, if you offer something to somebody, just like you subjectively, you have a gift and you make an offering to somebody. If you really like that object, you're collecting really good karma, better karma. Because because you have this feeling of this is really beautiful, it's wonderful, like a really nice piece of chocolate cake or something, or a nice latte or something like that. If you like it, then it means you have bliss in it, and then you offer it, there's better karma in that. That's just sort of a side comment that I've heard. But coming back to when we do the offerings, and now we're sort of in the level of Tantra, you should feel that there is bliss, bliss for the mouth, bliss for the feet, flowers, bliss for the eyes, bliss for the nose, etc. Okay, and that's something that actually is creating that ability within yourself, because it's sort of interesting. When I was with Lama Thupten Yeshe in the very early years, when you could spend a lot of time with him when he's not too busy, he would exaggerate pleasure. And when later, when you sort of thought about it, it was because he was very much a Tantra practitioner. So one time when he was in Delhi, he went to one of those, I guess, it would be 51 varieties of ice cream. I mean, it's a Haagen-Dazs or a Tom and Jerry place or something like that. Now there are all sorts of ice cream places. And he went and he said, wow. And then you get a little thing, so nice, so blissful. It's sort of like, whoa, he's really exaggerating it. But no, that was the point, is that if we move to the highest class of Tantra, we want the bliss in the void, or the bliss in not being independently self-existent. And so you have to start creating a cognition of it. Because what happens with us, for example, if we come back to Lama Yeshe with his ice cream, we get the whatever vanilla or Rocky Road or moose tracks. I'm a Canadian, so they have what's called moose tracks. It's really delicious. You scoop it, you put it in your mouth, and all you get is attachment. Because, oh, that was really nice. I want another one. I want another one. So you might say there's a moment of bliss, and then you can pollute it. It's called a contaminated offering because it's mixed with your pollution of your attachment. So what you want to do is, okay, when the moose tracks or chocolate ice cream hits your tongue, it's like bliss. And in case initially you can just say a cognition of interdependence. My tongue and the ice cream are all interdependent. I have bliss, and bliss is interdependence, and I'm interdependent with the universe. And then, of course, as a bodhisattva vehicle, may I be of benefit. So your bliss, your appreciation of reality, and your intention to be of benefit, your engaged style of Buddhism, all come together. I mean, that's you'd almost say you have a cathartic experience with bliss. But the point is that in making the offerings, it's not just, oh, here's water for your mouth, here's water for your feet. Like, may your feet be blissful. If in your mind you think that, you're creating bliss, even a little bit of it. And if nothing else, you're creating that I'm offering something that's happiness. These are a little bit important because Buddhism isn't something like I practice and then down the road somewhere there's my enlightenment. No, you're actualizing it in every moment, mindfulness. So water for the mouth, water for the feet, bliss for your mouth, bliss for your feet, bliss for your eyes, bliss for your nose, like that. Okay. So just again, something to take into consideration. Now, when you make offerings, if you're then doing prayers, because on your altar, obviously, you're not going to do the mudras particularly, although you could, but what you do is go back and you get in your meditation cushion or whatever your seat, and you take a posture, then you take refuge, generate bodhicitta. If you're doing high tantra, you normally then do the inner offering, which is what's to purify everything. If it's the lower tantra, you don't have inner offering, but then you just have the blessing of the offering. So that's why I have the balloon. So why the balloon? Okay. So the mudras are right hand up, left hand down. So on the screen it's going to be backwards, I guess, but I say right hand up, left hand down. You point your fingers outward and you click. You feel that from your heart chakra, you're now sending out a stream of dakinis, male and female offering gods and goddesses, okay? Say, well, like that. So left hand palm upward, right hand palm downward, click, and you send them out. Then you have, if we're, okay, now we're gonna have the balloon. So we have our hands like that. We go one, the front hand comes around in front, and you push the balloon away. So what's that? It's click, sending the gods and goddesses out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so those are the movements. So let's come. So we went click, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's called the lotus roll. Now, I remember I translated for a Sakyapa Lama in Victoria for years. And he said, oh, you Westerners can never get the things right. So he did it to sort of, you go, boom, boom, closed fist. It was so ugly. I thought, we can do this, So you do start, just to get the familiarity, you start with your fingers together if you want. So right hand up, left hand down, you swip them around, come around in front of the balloon, you push the balloon away, and you roll the hands over. And then, of course, you send the gods and goddesses back in your heart. Okay, now if you're going to make it, once you get that familiar, then you can make it more beautiful. Click, and you do the fingers like that. And so your fingers sort of like that, like light rays coming off your fingers or something like that. So that's the lotus roll mudra. Again, you might get variations on that from different teachers. That's the way I was taught, so it works well. But again, if you want to get a balloon, then this sort of, you really get the movements right. So it's the balloon, you just go like that. Then your hand comes around the front, pushes the balloon away and rolls over. So that's that. Now, then there's the individual offerings, the 8 offerings. And there's actually 8 offerings or 16 offerings. There's all sorts of different things. We're just going to focus on the central 8 because I want to move into inner offering, secret offering, and the ultimate reality offering, okay? So water for the mouth, or say water for the mouth, hands go like that. Okay, so it's just, so if you did the whole thing, it'd be like Om Sarva Tathagata Varivara Aragam Praticha Hum Soha. Okay, and again, you do them a little bit slowly because you want to try to visualize as you're doing them. As time passes, you do get better at it, but initially it'll be a bit mechanical. But so, water for the mouth. Now, I learned it back over the back of the hand of the left hand, water for the feet. You're pouring water on their feet. Okay, I've seen other teachers palm upwards and pouring water. It really doesn't matter. It's whatever works for you. The point is, I'm pouring water on your feet. I guess like Mary Magdalene did on Jesus Christ, Okay, a little bit of Christianity there for you. Okay, water for the feet. Then perfume. Now, in high tantra, all offering gods and goddesses have 4 arms. I've never heard a difference in the lower tantras, so let's just say you would think all the offering gods and goddesses have 4 arms. Now, 4 arms then is, for example, water for the mouth. Okay, there's just the 4 arms are doing the same thing. Water for the feet is pretty much the same. But when you move to flowers, the 2 lower hands hold a tray of flowers. The 2 upper hands take the flowers and scatter them. Okay, so that's bushbe, flowers. Then you send them back in your heart. Then this next set of offerings, which is incense, again, you do the lotus roll. The 2 lower hands hold charcoal or a little brazier, and the 2 upper hands put incense powder as powder. Put the powder into the thing, that's thing, and then you send them back in your heart. So water for the mouth, water for the feet. Now, obviously, we don't have 4 arms, but we feel we take flowers and we scatter them, the 2 upper arms, flowers, incense. We put incense into the little burner. Then there's light. Now, again, depends on the tantra. If it's Tara tantras, you put your first 2 fingers and thumbs together like that. Again, there's different commentaries on this. It might differ from some of you, but that's the one. If you do high tantra, you have a little skull cup. So that's where your fingers are like that, which is the front edge of the skull cup. And this is the wick. It's back behind the edge of the skull cup. So that's the argam, light, okay? And send it back in your heart. So for lower tantra, to be Om Tara Savare Vare Aragam. Okay, fingers all together. Pratisa Om Soha. If you're doing like Yamantaka, Om Yamantaka Aragam. So you do the little skull cup thing. Pratisa Om Soha. Light, perfume. Perfume is 4 arms again. So 2 arms have a tray or a dish of perfumed water, and your upper hand sprinkle it it's considered on the chest. So that's Gende. Okay. In the Yamantaka Tantra, just so you know, you do that as the 3rd offering because Yamantaka is a deity of wisdom. And as a deity of wisdom, you offer water to the chest because the chest is where you're going to generate your wisdom of reality, not in your head, okay, down in your heart. That's where you develop wisdom. That's Yamantaka Tantra only. All the other tantras have perfume later. So the perfume mudra would be this, just you dip your fingers in the perfume water and you sprinkle it. That's then you send them back in your heart. Perfume, light, perfume, food. Food, again, is just a tray. So it's your hands to like this. Again, send them back in your heart. And then music, the simple version, if you don't have a Vajrana bell, is just you're beating a little drum. Okay, that's the one for that. If you have a Vajrana bell, then you would have those. Now, I don't have my Vajrana bell with me, but you normally tuck them into between your thumbs, and then you can do the same rolls and everything like that. And just practice, okay? One thing, again, I should have had my drum, but if I beat my drum, all the sound will go off. When you beat your damaru, which is for music, that's if you're doing high tantra again, well, even low tantra, they have the damaru. You beat it in front of your abdomen. I remember Trichang Rinpoche once when we were doing teachings with him. He said, well, if you see the pictures, you always see the yogi or the yogini, the guru, with the damaru up here in the space. But that's just because that's easy for an artist. It's not easy for the artist to paint it down in front of your stomach. But what you do is you put it in front of your stomach because it represents the generation of bliss and voidness in the abdomen, which is your tumo meditation, your psychic heat. Okay, so that's where you beat it in front of your thing. And then the drum is two halves, which represent the bliss and the bliss and the method and wisdom. Bliss and voidness is considered to be sort of like a young male and a young female skull, like that. Again, that's something that you can't really do nowadays because it's against the law to have human bones. But the thing is that you would have that, so it represents that. And then little clappers that hit at the same time. Union, method, wisdom, union, method, wisdom, union, method, wisdom, union, method, wisdom. And then if you ever have an experience of your abdomen chakra, your stomach chakra waking up, you get a little vibration. So it does represent that too. So that's your music. So you have the bell. If you ring the bell in front of your heart. That's where you ring the bell. If you did music with the bell, Vajra and bell. If you rang the drum and the bell, then you'd ring the bell in front of your heart and you beat the drum in front of your abdomen. Okay, and those are the music offerings. So that's whether low, middle, high, highest tantra, they're all pretty much the same. There will be slight variations on things, but basically that's it. So in regards to teaching about offerings, they are blissful. And as much as you appreciate they're blissful, you're blessing yourself. If you think, it's just nothing, but that's okay, you get the karma of nothing. If you actually feel that there's bliss there, you get the karma of bliss. And what I've seen a lot is that we don't appreciate blissful feelings. And I'll come back to Lama Yeshe. He was big on this, that when you have a blissful feeling, like you sip your latte, or you piece of chocolate cake, or someone caresses your face and you feel bliss, that don't just say, oh, I want more of that. That's you turned it into a contaminated offering. What you want is like, okay, I am interdependent. I'm not self-existent. I am, okay, and if the big words would be, I'm empty of self-existence. But really, I think the better word to say is I am interdependent, empty of self-existence, and then I am bodhicitta, I am love and compassion, I am a bodhisattva, may I be of benefit. Now, of course, may I be a Buddha, but, often I think like when we say we're a Buddha, it's sort of inconceivable. Whereas you say, I'm a bodhisattva, we get context right away, like, oh yeah, okay, I'm working for the benefit of sentient beings. So it's just personal, that's my sort of thought. So although, we do try to identify with our Buddha nature, that we are enlightened, I sort of like the identification of being a bodhisattva simply because it gives me a clear context, and as you get more realized, you can sort of live within the bodhicitta and the voidness, like that. So anyway, so those are your mudras. So sending them out, and as you're sending them out, and then water for the mouth, water for the feet, flowers, incense, light, perfume, food, and music, send them back. Okay, often in sadhanas, you get everybody abbreviates it, so it's Om Tara, Om Karasa, Vare, Ware, Aragam, Bhajam, Bushvi. So it's not that easy to sort of generate bliss, but the point is you should try to slow it down a little bit and try to experience some bliss in what you're doing. Okay, so those are just the external offerings, and you do, as I say, make them blissful, meaningful. Like, oh, I really like making that offering, So that way, then you do accumulate karma. Excuse me, I want to do something here. Okay, now next thing. Okay, we have outer offerings. There's also then the 5 outer offerings. Like it's form, music, perfume, food, and cloth. Those are the say rupa, shabda, gandhe, rasa, sparsa. That's again, those are the 5 sense doors. So let's see. Rupa is a mirror, shabda is music. So again, this is because I don't have a bell and drum, that's a drum. Perfume is just the same one. Food, mouth is this. And then sparsa is if you had a cloth in your hands and you spread it out. So like that's sparsa. Okay, so it'd be Om Tarasa Vare Vare Rupa shabda, gende, rasa, sparsa, pratica. So just a little addition. Again, if you've got a Dharma center, I'm sure a lot of this gets taught to you. Okay. So now let's move into the more the deeper ones. Now this applies primarily to Anatara Yoga Tantra and Yoga Tantra actually, but still it's worthwhile to talk about it. Inner offering. Now, inner offering is where you generate a wind mandala, a fire mandala, 3 heads, which then support the skull cup, and inside of it you have the 5 meats and 5 nectars. Inner offering actually is your Dharma practice. It's really good to think of it that way, because what's inside of that is the 5 aggregates, and the 5 aggregates turn into the 5 wisdoms. Okay, or the 5, they're called the 5 meats. It's a buffalo, a dog, an elephant, a horse, and a human. They're the 5 things. Again, if you don't have an Anatara Yoga, then this is just information for you. But if you do a Dharma practice with any of the high tantras, you'll be familiar with that. They do change their position sometimes, for example, in Mother Tantra compared to Father Tantra, but basically there is still the 5 meats, and they are these 5 animals. And so they represent your 5 aggregates. So there's actually an interesting analogy. Really, your tantric practice is a personification in some image of your Dharma practice. Okay. So for example, a buffalo or a cow is the first element. Now, why that? Because, well, they're considered a little stupid. Sort of sad to say about buffaloes and cows, but they sit there and they chew their cud and they just sort of stare at you, and they have 4 stomachs to digest and stuff like that. So they are representative of misunderstanding, or often it's ignorance, but I like to say that misunderstanding. That's that. Dogs represent the second aggregate, which is, so the first aggregate, your aggregate of form, represents ignorance, and that's seen as a buffalo. Okay. The second element is often a dog. It's the aggregate of feeling, and it represents miserliness. And the example is that if you give a dog a bone, the dog gets very miserly about it. Like you try to take the bone away and they'll growl at you. So that's why you have a dog, because it represents mindfulness. On the backside of the inner offering, you have an elephant, and it represents attachment. And I think it's sort of cute. Maybe it came from India or from Asia. Elephants never forget. Okay, well, that's like attachment, and very attached. So the elephant meat. Horses are the 4th meat, and it refers to jealousy. I don't really know. I don't around horses, so I don't know why if they are jealous, but maybe that applies to whatever. Anyway, it's the horses for jealousy. And in the center, when that's your aggregate of volition or thought, and in the center is the aggregate of consciousness. And that is by a human, and it's a transformation of your anger, because humans tend to be always angry, or aggressive. So your 5 aggregates symbolized or personified as a buffalo, a dog, an elephant, a horse, and a human are your 5 aggregates: form, feeling, perceptions, thoughts, and consciousness. And they become the 5 wisdoms: mirror wisdom for forms, wisdom of equanimity, wisdom of discrimination, with all-accomplishing wisdom, and dharmadhatu, wisdom of reality. Okay, so those are the 5 wisdoms. So when you do an inner offering, what you're saying is, on the basis of this visualization, I am transforming my 5 aggregates into nectar. And what's the nectar? Your Dharma practice. So really, inner offering is so special, it's so meaningful. And when you make an offering, for example, let's say if you're going to do the guru and you do, His Holiness the Dalai Lama Om Home, I'm offering my practice. So it's very meaningful and such. On top of that, just again, if you do have Anatara Yoga initiation, you've identified yourself as a deity, then you're going to bless the inner offering. It becomes a wind mandala, a fire mandala, 3 heads, and then the skull cup. And so that's all symbolic. The air mandala you should see as being sort of equal with your thighs and your genitals. The fire mandala is equal with your abdomen, which is for the psychic heat. The three skulls can often represent the 3 visions at the time of death. And then the skull cup on top is white on the outside, red on the inside, which is the bliss and voidness. And so well, if you were to say it really in reality, bringing my energies into my central channel, which I do with my psychic heat, my tummo meditations, I will then have what's called the example clear light, which would be through then the visions of white, red, black, and clear light. That's the three skulls, white, red, and black, and then the three heads. I'm sorry, the tripod. And on top of that, then there's a skull, which represents then the union of bliss and void. And within bliss and void, you transform your five aggregates. All terribly meaningful. So it's not like we just sit there and we go like, I'm on Rajri, Vijitana, and I'm so wish you to suffer, I'm so wish you to home to me, you hear it to me, they run, they don't run, they may. Like you can blather it away really fast. You don't want to do that. Now, you can say it very quickly once you're familiar, but you want to have wind, and it's a reflection back to my thighs, fire, reflection to my abdomen, three skulls. Okay, that's the three visions as I approach, entering my central channel and arriving at the Dharmakaya, my clear light consciousness. That's inside of bliss and voidness. And each of the meats then are my five aggregates, and that's what are going to be transformed. The nectars are often the four elements. So, but the main one is the earth, fire, water, air, space. But anyway, normally we focus on the meats. Okay, so inner offering is really special. I mean, you should really put some feeling into it. And when you have that, and then every time when you're going to go and flick it, and I'm going to purify, for example, the offering. So you say you do Om Ganda Roy, Hum Pei. Okay, it's my Dharma practice, Hum Pei. You know, or when you hold your skull cup or your inner offering up and you make offerings to the Guru, I'm offering my Dharma practice. It's really special. So have some feeling about that. You know, like, and you know, there's a funny thing that, like, you know, our gurus can be far away. You know, like for example, for me nowadays, it's Dalai Lama. I have a lot of love for him. Most of my other teachers have all gone to the Pure Lands, I guess you could say. But the thing is, but if I have sincere feelings about them really being in front of me as I make these offerings, I'm accumulating that karma. And then later, if I was to be with them, I'm going to automatically exude that feeling, that karma, and they're going to pick up on it because they're sensitive. They have that intuition. I mean, it's so interesting. I mean, when you are around holy beings, like, I mean, the Dalai Lama, he picks up on stuff really fast. I mean, it's very nice. Or, I mean, if you've been around, you know, let's say Kalar Rinpoche from the past, or, I mean, Garchen Rinpoche, or Dugo Khyentse Rinpoche, or any of the other great Lamas, Sakya Treason, they pick up on things. So being sincere, your inner offering is my Dharma practice. I offer my inner offering to you, you know, my gurus. You're setting up very good karmic connection with your gurus. And later on, that pays off big time for you. Even if you never get to be physically with them too much, you're still accumulating the karma. And, you know, when we do talk about guru yoga, you know, and this plays a little bit with what we did with Milarepa yesterday, is that if you think that your guru has clear light consciousness, has opened their central channel, if that's your projection, that's a blessing to yourself, because you're affecting yourself with those thoughts and feelings. It's like that. You know, I mean, I remember there was just side commentary is that, you know, when they were first investigating animals and stuff like that, and they were looking into do they have emotions and things like that. There's in a laboratory, they had a monkey wired up to sort of know what was going on with him, and they were looking at like how intelligent the monkey is and stuff like that. And then one of the people, they were on the other side of the glass or whatever it was thing, and he picked up an apple and he took a bite of it. And the monkey registered saliva. They empathized with that researcher eating an apple. And that was sort of like they said, whoa, man, like, wow, they suddenly animals have consciousness, you know, which is lucky. We're in Buddhism, you know, animals can go to enlightenment. You know, some religions are neither just sort of, I guess, fodder for us as human beings. Aren't we lucky? In Buddhism, they have a Buddha nature. Anyway, so point being is that if you really do feel your gurus are in front of you, you really are accumulating the karma. often when I'm meditating, I'm a little lazy, and then I think, okay, I just invoked the Dalai Lama. Ooh, okay, well, I better sit up a little bit, It's silly little things, but they affect you, and you accumulate karma that way. Okay, granted, you don't want to be obsessive about it. For example, if you go and see His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he really doesn't like you to do prostrations. So you have to do them before you get in the room. But you try to do them where you're in front of a window that he can see you doing them. So you sort of say, oh, he recognizes I've got lots of devotion to him. But when you come in, he's going to shake your hand. In fact, actually, there's a funny story. A long time ago, when we Westerners were first in India, it was back in like 1972 or 73. One of my friends from Australia or New Zealand, she had an audience with the Dalai Lama. And at that point, you could get to see him privately and talk with him and things like that. So anyway, she had the audience. She came in. She was very devoted and things like that. And when it came to say goodbye, she bent over to have him touch the top of her head. And he paused like if he was going to hold her hand, like to shake her hand. And so they're both sitting there like this. He's waiting to shake her hand. She's waiting for the bop in the head. And so she didn't know what to do. So she reached up, she took his first finger and baby finger and shook his hand. So funny, Anyway, so His Holiness smiled. And even here it is, 30, 40 years later, we still remember silly stories like that. Anyway, His Holiness is very sweet. So coming back to the main point, though, inner offering represents your Dharma practice. So that's really good. And stuff. So that is the transformation of your 5 aggregates. So that's the inner offering. Now, secret offering is bliss. Now, in the different tantras, it's applied a different way. For example, in the first tantra, it's like looking at the deity gives you bliss. In the second level of tantra, you hold hands with the deity, you touch the deity, and you feel bliss. In the third level of tantra, you can embrace, like you hug each other, and you feel bliss. And in the fourth tantra, the highest tantra, Anatara Yoga, you actually have intercourse, intimacy with the deity. Now, again, whether you're the male or the female side really doesn't matter. So, for example, if you're a woman, you're Vajrayogini, then you're going to go in union with Heruka. Or if you're a male deity, you go in union with Queen of the Vajra realm, whoever happens to be the deity that you practice. Okay, but in all cases, it's bliss. So it's you might say, the thrill of a perfect partner. Now, again, I've done these practices for now, it's 50 years. And as time passed, you sort of relax and you start to sort of think about things. And so, I've been married twice. I'm on my second marriage still, thank you very much. 18 years for the first one, and I'm up to 20 years now with my second one, so I'm doing better. Anyway, but the point is that we sort of when we get together with somebody, we hope things go well. I mean, it's sort of like the Chitta philosophy, we fall in love with our projection, and then 6 months later, we find out what the person's really like. So it's sort of a joke, but it's sort of reality. So when you do visualize, for example, a male Buddha or a female Buddha, they're fully enlightened. So what would that be like? It would actually be excruciating for most of us, because they can read our mind and they know everything about us, and it'd be how embarrassing, But let's say in this case, we are a Buddha, okay? And I am talking more on Anatara Yoga level, because that's where the transcendental wisdom or secret, or that particular initiation is given. That you have to think of it in terms of, I'm in union with a fully enlightened being. And then you should let yourself think about that a little bit. It's not like just, oh yeah, I got some lady and I'm in union, okay, fine and dandy, or I got some guy and I'm in union, yeah, I'm really happy. No, I mean, it's like, this is our tantric practice. And so it's not just bliss, okay? I mean, yes, you can have bliss if you see somebody beautiful and attractive or whatever, but the reality is this is also enlightened, an enlightened being. And I think that, again, if you spend some time reflecting on, like, okay, I am Heruka and I've got, Vajrayogini, or I'm Vajrayogini, and I mean, Vajrayogini cute, she keeps her boyfriend on her shoulder as the Katbanga. And when she wants him, she pulls him down. It's like if you keep your boyfriend, you keep your boyfriend in the closet and you go, okay, come out, please make me happy, please go back and leave me alone. I mean, I think Vajrayogini is very sweet. Again, this is high tantra. If you don't have these initiations, you should look for them. They're really quite special. But anyway, coming back to the point though, transcendental wisdom initiation is a generation of bliss. And so, and it's normally bliss with union. But I would just like you to sort of think about it a little bit. And this is more of a Jhampa commentary. I don't think Tibetan Lamas have ever said this to me. But I just say, well, you're actually in union with an enlightened being. How would you think about that? Like, spend some time reflecting on that. Like, how would I be, you know, or how should I feel and such like that. That's just one thing. I think that's the more psychology of that particular initiation. Now, why do we visualize the transcendental wisdom initiation? Well, you're going to do what's called the 4 descending blisses and the 4 arising blisses, or you can do what's called 16 blisses, which is from the crown to the throat. You do the first bliss, the second bliss, the third bliss, and the fourth bliss. And then from your throat to the heart, you do again the 4. That's 16 blisses. But the main thing is it's crown to the heart, first bliss, then it's an extra bliss, it's even more wonderful bliss, and then it's wow bliss. That's the 4 descending blisses, and then you reverse them. It's bliss, it's better bliss, it's good bliss, wow, it's great bliss, like that. Now, why? Well, part of Tantra is that we rely on our body. And by relying on our body, we need our body to be healthy. So therefore, for example, if you've taken an Anantara Yoga initiation, you're told you cannot practice heavy-duty asceticism. You cannot harm your body. So therefore, you should take care of it, you should exercise it. You know, not be egocentric about it or something, but you should exercise it, eat well, take good care of yourself, things like that, because it's your body is the vehicle where you can practice Tantra. And that is on the basis of the nerves and the channels within your body. Okay, so that's why it's good to do yoga. It's good to do Tai Chi, Qigong, Neigong, any of those sorts of more exercises which work with that. Of course, if you're into this 6 yogas in a row, you do true core, you know, those exercises. But I think yoga is a little bit really good. In fact, there's some scientific research that yoga is really good because if you have like a bunch of nerves, there's actually a fluid in each cell. And the fluid bumps from one end of the cell to the other, and it stimulates that cell. So it's sort of like a fluid electricity that lets my hand move like this. Okay, so when you do yoga, it's been proven that you actually stretch these nerve channels, these nerve cells, or whatever you want to call them, and they get more communicative with each other. And that's really important with Tantra. So, I mean, obviously in Tibet, it's 12,000 feet, it's freezing cold, they don't have central heating. Who's going to do yoga on their yoga mat? But I would say in our culture, we all have heated houses, or at least warm houses, and we have yoga mats. And so it's good to start incorporating yoga. I think if you go back to India, I mean, in India, they all knew about yoga. It was common sense, you know. I mean, everybody knew about yoga. I mean, they had all of the yoga tantras like that. I mean, Hinduism, Buddhism. So it was part of their culture, you know. Whereas when you move to Tibet, I mean, they bathed a couple times a year because it was so frigging cold, you know. And I mean, who did yoga, you know? I mean, in their houses, So anyway. Coming back to it, yoga is good, and all the other Tai Chi, Qigong, Neigong, those ones are all good to do to help with you. Coming back to the Transcendental Wisdom Offering, though, if you really, you sit very good posture. It's not like you sit like this when you do it. You sit up nice and straight, so nerve channels and everything are all in good condition. And then you feel that you go into union, but not just union with anybody. You're going in union with an enlightened being. That's a big thing. Like, think of it, for example, I don't know, I'll make a silly example. Let's say, I don't know, I mean, let's say, I don't know, can't think of any, I say, I'm trying to think of some actress that I like. The actress for the Wonder Woman, I forget what her name is, she's out of Israel, I think, wow, she's impressive, she looks virtuous. She portrays that. So if I was to go into union with her, it'd be pretty special. It's not just sort of anybody. So there's an example of I'm going in union with an enlightened being. Or if you were in union, I don't know, with Richard Gere, or I don't know, or something like that, someone who has quality. Or Superman. Okay, there's a good one. Okay, this is silly examples. But the thing is, think about it. You've got to make these practices real for yourself. So you go in union. Now, first off, you're going in union with somebody who's special, this enlightened being, okay? And then having done that, you definitely stimulate yourself, you know. I mean, if you allow your imagination to go a little bit. Now, you don't have an exaggerated imagination, but just a little bit of like, okay, I'm just in union and they're embracing me, I'm embracing them. And then you start having the descending of the bliss from the crown to the throat. Now, what are you doing? If your imagination's strong, you're creating this incredibly like blissful feeling. It's stimulating your nervous system. And so you could say, like, you have that sense of union, and then you drop the energy down inside of you to your throat, and you feel that it's very blissful. And that just wakes up all your nervous system. So that's why, although, you know, in high tantra, there's a big emphasis on bliss and bliss of union, it's because it's very stimulating to the nervous system. And then on the basis of opening up our nervous system, we can then pull our mind inside of it with our, you know, the opening the central channel, whether it's with tumor or whatever, and then we can experience profound levels of consciousness. So really, the experience of bliss is not arbitrary. It's a very powerful way to open up your nervous system, to wake up your nervous system. So from your crown to your throat, from your throat to your heart to your abdomen to your genitals, and then you reverse it, you go back up to your navel, to your heart, to your throat, to your crown. I mean, you've just really woken up your nervous system. Okay, just doing that visualization. Throw in there that you're in union with someone who has bodhicitta. Well, that's really precious, isn't it? You know, and then they have an appreciation of reality. You know, they understand the nature of reality. So you are blessing yourself with that understanding of the partner. You are blessing yourself by the power of your own imagination, and it's not sensual desire and stuff. I remember, was it Demo Lochen Rinpoche, very beautiful Tibetan Lama. Lama Glenn and I actually took teachings from him privately on how to do self-initiation. Anyway, he said that although the first moment of bliss generated in Anuttara Yoga is from desire, he says immediately it's turned to appreciating the voidness. So, you know, the things are not independently self-existent. So it's no different than when you put chocolate cake in your mouth, that instead of just saying, whoa, I want more chocolate cake, it's like, oh, empty of self-existence, I am interdependent. So if you can start doing that with your chocolate cake or your chocolate cookie or whatever type of things you like to eat, okay. Now when you do it with the generation of bliss, you're in union with an enlightened being, and then you're generating, you know, they have bodhicitta and they have the sunyata, realization of reality, okay. You're waking up your nervous system like that. So as Demo Lochen Rinpoche said, it's like if he said the example, it's like if the wind's blowing branches of a tree and two branches rub against each other enough, they will then catch on fire and they both get burned. So although you have the first moment of a desire for an enlightened being that you're in union with, in the second moment, your appreciation of the nature of reality burns them both, burns the delusion that you would have. And so you end up with bliss without any without the misunderstanding of reality, without the attachment. Okay, so that's secret. That's the Transcendental Wisdom Offering. I'm sort of happy to talk about this because I think it's important for any of you that have Anuttara Yoga that you start to try to, you know, don't just sort of run through your sadhana. You know, starting off with just water for the mouth, water for the feet. You know, all the way up to this. Okay, and then finally the Suchness Offering, or the ultimate offering, the fourth offering, is then everything is empty of independent self-existence. It's the nature of reality. So remember, there's relative perspective on reality and ultimate perspective. Ultimate perspective is open like the space of the kind, no forms. So if you're, you know, if you do that, I mean, you can do that, you go to the open space of the sky, but then you have relative perspective to start generating the objects, because you have to have objects, but you appreciate them as being empty of self-existence. They are a play of interdependence. I think I talked a little bit about you know, it's another class I gave, but it's like actually using your body is really good for understanding the nature of reality. So, for example, right now we're all sitting in the atmosphere. We're all like fish in a fish tank, aren't we? You know, if I move my hands, I can feel the air moving around me. There's no gaps in that. If there's a gap, suddenly I couldn't breathe. So it's a consistent environment I'm immersed in that. And not only that, I'm penetrated. Every cell in my body needs to participate with the oxygen and the atmosphere around me. So with every breath I take, I'm experiencing interdependence, empty of any self-existence. Okay, so when you generate your offerings, you should appreciate, like whether it's the 8 offerings on your altar or one of the other offerings, that none of them have independent self-existence. They are merely labeled, and they are a play of causes and circumstances. They are completely interdependent, universally interdependent. There's no place somewhere where there's no interdependence. It's a universal, from on planet Earth to our sun, to the solar system, to how many millions of light years away, all a big play of interdependence, empty of any self-existence. That's the correct relative perspective on the nature of reality. So when you are the deity, you see your body is hollow. You have the different syllables and things inside of you and whatever else, but your body is hollow. And if you took a breath with that type of understanding I just described, you appreciate that you are empty of any self-existence. You are immersed and penetrated in the atmosphere. And then you are bodhicitta. As a deity, you manifested from Dharmakaya for the benefit of sentient beings. So whether it's Sambhogakaya or Nirmanakaya, you are bodhicitta for the benefit of sentient beings. That's why I manifest. So the ultimate offering is a relative perspective, appreciating the phenomena empty of any independent self-existence, okay? So basically, that's it. There's no more. So we've covered outer offerings, inner offerings, secret offerings, suchness offering. We covered the 8 offerings that you do in your altar, or 8 offerings that you would do in your sadhana. We do have the chat. I've opened my chat window so I can see chats this time. So if you wanted to scribble a chat for me or a question or something like that. Again, I'm offering what I've understood from the teachings I received. I'm not saying I'm the ultimate truth or the gospel of all these things. There are other teachers that might say things a different way, which is good. It's always good to get a little bit different perspectives on things. So anyway, so that's the offerings. And so someone asked about them. Someone sent me a text message and say, hey, can I teach this? So hopefully they're attending. Okay, so no questions. I mean, there's nothing in the chat right now, but anything? Hi, Andrea. Looks like you're very comfortable. Are you blissful, Andrea? Are you in touch with reality? Good. Okay. So,
Amala, one question, please. What about the mudra for the Torma offering? Is it the food offering mudra? How would you go about those mudra when reciting the Yidam's name with Idam Balinta Kaka Kahi Kahi?
Yeah, it's just food offering. There's no special mudra for that, other than, like, for example, you go Om Tara Tara Ture Saga Yidam Balinta Kaka Kahi Kahi, that you do that like that. Yeah, so there's just food offering. Tormas are food, so basically food offering. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Sure. Oh, how and when can we offer to Nagas? Now, that's a whole nother thing. That there is actually teachings on that. If you have an opportunity, there's actually special pills for Nagas that you can get from the Tibetan Medical Center. Maybe they can mail them to your country. I'm not sure of that, but there are pills that are especially just for Nagas. Okay, that's one. And then there are rituals for offering to Nagas. Now, Nagas are basically local spirits. Okay, generally speaking, I think in most cities you would not find many spirits. If you go out in the country or pleasant places, that's where spirits hang out and stuff. So that's something that you maybe want to do. And there are prayers and rituals. I think Lama Glenn maybe does those teachings. I don't do Naga offerings. At least I most likely have the text. I could pull it up and stuff, but I don't remember ever really getting teachings on it. Okay. How can we work to treat a tumor directing our energy? Okay, well, that's about healing. Well, medicine Buddha would be something good. I remember His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he said, herbal medicines and medicine Buddha are very good, but when you're sick, go to the hospital. Dalai Lama is really practical. Okay, so, but I think that if you do move your mind to a part of your body and you have positive feelings, rather than thinking, oh my God, there's this tumor and it's gonna kill me or something. No, move your mind to that thing and then fill it full of medicine Buddha or Tara or something like that. Okay, and then you're putting good energy there. And there is actually scientific proof that when you have a bit of focus, a bit of mindfulness, for example, I mean, what they did was they have someone meditate and they say, focus on your right hand. Okay, then the blood flow and the temperature just increased minutely, but it did because of the power of consciousness. And they said, now please meditate on your left hand, and then going over here. And again, the blood flow and the temperature and things like that changed a little bit. Power of consciousness. So move your mind, and with faith and, whatever, you move your mind to the place where you have an illness, and then you fill it up with, okay, there's the medicine Buddha there. The medicine Buddha is full of love. I have faith in the medicine Buddha. That's important. And then maybe you say the medicine Buddha mantra. That's going to affect that part of your body. Now, whether it heals you or not, I don't know. But this, it depends. I do think that it is good to rely on Western medicine. I mean, maybe sometimes we say, oh, I want to be natural. I have quite a few lady friends that have had breast cancer, and they said, oh, I'm going to do it a naturalistic way. And I have to say, I'm really sorry, they all died. And maybe they died well, and maybe they died with Dharma minds, but, chemotherapy can fix that, give you a longer life, and you have more chance to practice. Now, again, that's just my opinion. Please just do as you would most appropriately do. So on the Torma, we can offer both soak and Torma as cookies. Yes, I use cookies all the time. So cookies can be both. Yes, cookies are fine, but make sure you don't open a package of cookies, eat 3 of them, and then put the rest of them on the altar. That's not so cool. If you open up a package, the first cookies go into the altar. It's a little bit purer, and then later, okay, maybe you eat your cookies or you eat the cookies off the altar. That's just fine. But I would say do be a little bit have a package of cookies that are just for your tormas, and then make sure they're in good condition, okay? How is the union practice like in body mandala practice, such as Chinnamani Tara? Second question, how do we get gate door? Offer gate door. Okay, first question. Well, in Vajrayogini practice, this is for if you have the initiation, this is special for her practice. You have your big body in the center, you have a double stack reality source, and you have the moon, you have the 32 deities, the 4 deities, and the principal deities. So you have 37 deities in your body, like that. But it depends on your power to visualize. But the queen of the body mandala, the very central one, you should see that she's inside the central channel. Now, if you've got a really creative imagination, you can put the whole reality source pretty much inside the central channel. This is really teeny, but the thing is you're doing that. And then you can do the 4 ascending and 4 ascending blisses. It's the same thing, because you're focused on the central channel from the crown down to your genitals and back up. So that's the real place of the union. So whether you have it with the body mandala or not, really, it's not a question. Gate door. I can post a gate door. It's actually quite simple. It's just a prayer. You do identify yourself as being your deity. It could be whether it's Tara, Avalokiteshvara, or any of the higher tantras. By doing that, then you can offer a gate door. Or maybe if I can, I'm not sure I have it in the right format. I can post it. I'm going to post it here. See if I can pull it up. Documents, English. Purification. Sorry, there it is. Okay, not there. Protectors. I don't know if I can find it that fast. I don't find it. Okay, I can't find it. I'm sorry. Okay. So the thing, if I can find it, I'll send it to Jonas and Gosha, and they can maybe post it, okay? And I'm not sure I'll have the email for you about that. But anyway, so that's your thing. Do offerings to the Lachemo Mahadeva, Umadeva, I believe Zopa Rinpoche did offerings, i.e. Mount Kailash. Well, we would transform Mahadeva into Haruka Chakrasamvara. Umadevi is Vajrayogini. I mean, whether you use the Sanskrit name or whether you use the Buddhist name, Uma is a word for central channel. So the goddess of the central channel, Uma Devi. So yeah, if making offerings to local spirits or whatever is fine. I mean, our ultimate refuge is the Buddha Dharma Sangha, particularly the Buddha, and that is because we become enlightened. But if we do have spirits involved or around, I mean, I make offerings every day to the local spirits to be friendly. There's a good example of this, and you shouldn't be superstitious. Okay, if in your neighborhood there's a bunch of loose dogs and cats, and every day you go outside and you put a bowl of dog food or cat food out for them, they're all going to come to like you because you're making an offering to them. And you're polite. You don't sit there and throw stones at them. You're nice to them. Well, local spirits are no different. Now, I mean, they're spirits, they're not the animals, but the thing is, so they have intelligence and stuff. But when you make local offerings to local spirits, you're befriending them. And that's the way you should look at it. Like you befriend birds if you put bird seed out, or you befriend dogs if you put dog food out. That's a really, really good way to think about it. That basically my offering for local spirits, which can be sort of a whole thing, that's no different than making offerings to the local birds, And that way then I'm collecting lots of good karma. Okay, the inner offering, Okay, when you do the Kabbalah, you don't have to do it as big as your body. Again, I mean, your mind's creative. So the thing is, I always think of it just because I'm imagining my 5 aggregates in the inner offering. So it's symbolic of me, but it's symbolic in an appropriate form. Now, in some practices, for example, there's the Kusali offering in the Vajrayogini practice. And that one, then normally you fly up into space and you look down on your old body and then you chop it up and throw it in a skull cup. In that case, I guess, yeah, the Kabbalah offering would have a big skull cup because you sort of think of your old physical body as being offered into the skull cup. Okay, so that one might be big, but inner offering, it's symbolic. You might have some resonance of feeling as you do the generation of it, the air, the fire, the tripod, the skull cup, and then the letters above it and everything. You can have some resonance with that, but it doesn't have to be equal to your body. Okay. Is there a particular prayer to Lama Jhampa? Lama Jhampa just means big God. I don't know that Lama Jhampa. I mean, maybe you could say that's Christ, that's Jesus, or that's God, the Christian one, Lama Jhampa. Or maybe it's Indra or Vishnu. So Lama Jhampa just means big God. I'm sorry, it's not, I don't know any particular relationship with them. I mean, there's Wang Shuk, which is considered to be Indra, and there's other names for other deities, Wang Shuk, I think, is Shiva. Anyway, there's Tibetan words for them. Lama Jhampa just means big God. I'm sorry, it doesn't mean any particular deity. What do you do for local spirit offerings? A real sadhana. Okay, if you're doing Anuttara yoga, you offer to local spirits all the time, and as part of the sadhana. What I recommend is you go and get a little shot glass, like a whiskey shot glass or something, or a tequila shot glass. I put milk in it because it's white for purification. It's an offering you can do every day, and it's just a little one. And then when it's finished, you throw it on a tree, or put it somewhere where it's like don't just throw it in the garbage, but like that. So I do that with my local spirit offerings. It's a little shot glass of milk because it's white, purification, it's food, and it's clean and stuff. And then just in a little shot glass, and every day you clean the shot glass. Okay. The Lama Jhampa is Mahadeva. Could be. It depends on the sadhana a little bit. Lama Jhampa just means big God. Okay, so again, it depends on the sadhana you're looking at and whatever. So okay, I'll leave it at that. Okay, and then Nyingmapa tradition, I'm not familiar with that, but yeah, I mean, Lama Jhampa could be Mahadev, could be Shiva. Yes, okay, that's accurate. Lachen could be also that. Again, if you look at the word, just the word itself, it just means big God. Now, in a particular sadhana, it might refer to a particular big God. Okay, so it's like that. Okay, Awesome. Okay, thank you. Yes, Mahadeva means big God. Oh, thank you very much. Mahadeva, yes. But the word Deva does just mean a Deva. I mean, so Vishnu, Indra. You know, when I lived in India, I lived in India for 14 years, and I used to buy these comic books that had all the Indian gods in them and the stories about them. I mean, it's the Rig Vedas and this and that. And so I learned a lot about all the Hindu gods that way, which is really great. So later on, when I'm doing my Yamantaka practice and you invoke them, or if you do other like Guhya Samaja, you particularly invoke Indra and Vishnu and Yama and the fire god Agni. You know, so it's fun if you, anyway, they're not, I don't know if they're available in the West, but there's these really good comic books. And I don't remember the name of the company, but they give you lots of stories about, you know, Shiva, Parvati, Umadeva, Indra thing. And so anyway, I learned all my Hinduism that way, which is fun. Okay, okay, Mahadeva is big God. Mahadeva is specific form of Shiva in union with Mahadeva. Yeah, again, we're off track. I'm not. We're talking about particular things. I'm not up on all of that. Okay, so we're talking about offerings and things. So if whatever, if you could befriend a Mahadeva, great. But remember, your ultimate refuge is the Buddha. Okay, I guess we're in 1 hour and 15 minutes. That's pretty good. So nice to be with you all. Tomorrow there is the what's called the Jainam or permission of the four-arm Chenrezi. I received it from His Holiness the Dalai Lama, so that's the lineage that I'll be transmitting. So that's tomorrow at the same time, 2 o'clock. No commitment, or well, there'll be a commitment if you can say Omani Padme Hum, but that's not a big commitment. And of course, being a Bodhisattva, that would be appropriate. But aside from that, there's no specific commitment for that. Can you please repeat offerings once more slowly? Thank you. Okay. So remember, you have the balloon. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4. Those, and then you send them back in. Okay. Send them out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Send them back in. Water for the mouth. Water for the feet. Flowers, you take flowers, scatter them. Incense, you put powder into a burner, a charcoal burner. Light, again, if it's Tara practice, it's like this, or if Yamantaka or Vajrayana, it's like this. Perfume, you sprinkle perfume on your chest. Perfume, food, and music. If you don't have a Vajrayana bell, send them back in your heart. So it'd be Om Arya Tara Sab Arya Var, water for the mouth, water for the feet, flowers, incense, light, perfume, food, and music. Raticha Om Soha. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Lamala. We would like to make a mandala offering for you. So please, everyone, join us for a mandala offering to Lamala. Sa Shri Perki Chokshak Metotram, Rara Blinkshin Yedek Yenpade, Sanja Shingdo Mikte Powaye, Drokonam Dakshing Lacha Pashu, Om Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamirieta Yame.
You know, just in comment for closing, of course, please dedicate that, you know, interdependence. The only reason I can teach well is because I had really, really good teachers. So I never think of, oh, I'm such an incredible. No, thank you to Lama Yeshe and Trichar Rinpoche and Ling Rinpoche and Sirkin Rinpoche and Demolocha Rinpoche and actually Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. I took the teachings from initiations from him, you know, from these great lamas and Sakya lamas. I took Sakya lineage too. So always, it's just, we're all just interdependent. So, you know, appreciate that. Anyway, thank you. Take good care. Bye.
Thank you so much, Lamla. Thank you all. And of course, tomorrow will be the Chenrezi empowerment at the same time. 2 p.m. Mexico, 4 p.m. Eastern Time US, 9 p.m. UK.
And thank you to Alan, the translator in Spanish. He did a lot of hard work.
And dedication?
Dedication?
Well, you can dedicate yourself, but okay. So by the effort of attending this class today, even if it's late at night and I get extra good karma because I had to stay up late, I dedicate all that to a more enlightened life. And I take that and I offer it for the benefit of all. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Take care.